And welcome to another, this is a pod solo. It's unfortunately, Jerry is inexposed. Inexposed? That is not the right word. Indisposed. Unavailable? A mishmash of those two. Yeah, Jerry is working. Jerry is also been sick for the last, his family's been sick, as you heard on the previous podcast. Then he got laryngitis or something and can barely talk. It's been a mess. He's a hot mess. He is recovering, though. I've been out of town, so we just were unable to get things together to record a podcast together. So I'm going to put out a short one. For one, just to update you on that's what's going on. Jerry's family's still been sick. Jerry's recovering his voice, and I have been out of town anyway, so we wouldn't be able to get together and play anything. And even if we could, even if I was in town, he was sick. I'm not going to hang out with a sick person because I don't want to get sick. It's been a long time. And of course, this will, no doubt the heavens will open and a light shine down upon me and make me ill. As I say, I haven't been sick in a while, a good long time, and I rarely get sick. Which is shocking because I am not a healthy person. I'm wildly obese, morbidly so. Morbidly means near death, which I'm working on as usual. But I do eat healthy. I mean, the thing is that the issue is not that I don't eat healthy. I think I've mentioned this before. It's just that I eat a lot of whatever it is. Give me some spinach, I'll eat all of it. I guess I can eat 5,000 calories worth of spinach. That'd be a lot. That would be a whole lot. But I eat a bowl of beans. I eat healthy. Now, some people may not call canned foods healthy, but I'm just jumping right into this episode. It's just going to be me solo, rambling, and will discuss Splendor Duel. And also, at some point, I may insert a Superman movie review. And if I do, I'll put it at the end of the episode because I don't want to do any editing. But anyway, so I eat a bowl of beans is what I call it. It's and they're all canned, but I don't eat the juices. I put them in a, what do they call it? A colander, and wash all because there's a lot of not preservatives, whatever is in the juice of a canned thing like beans, green beans. Usually I use black beans because, I don't know, they're not healthier. They're just a different type of bean with some different properties. Sometimes I'll use pinto beans, but I use corn, green beans, black beans, sometimes garbanzo, and rotel. And I always put them in a colander and just rinse everything off. So all that juice that's in there that's probably salty, I guess there's some salt in there, some sodium. I drain it all away. And I eat that cold. I'll mix that up, and I put some, this is what you get when Jerry's not on the episode. Me talking about food as a morbidly obese person. But I was telling you, this is what I eat. It's healthy. I just eat too much of it because it's still like almost 1,000 calories for one bowl of this because it's like 4 complete cans of beans, even though they're legumes. Legumes are healthy. Anyway, where was I? Oh, so what's the Greek seasoning? A long time ago, a family friend of his, I was probably 16. This fellow put Greek seasoning on his popcorn, changed my entire life since then. There's not been a bucket of popcorn since I do not put Greek seasoning on. Try it. You won't regret it. Now, I put Greek seasoning on a lot of things, including this bowl of beans, or bowl o' beans, apostrophe. And then I put Louisiana hot sauce on it. I've done it hot. I've done it with the bowl of beans warmed up in the microwave. Mostly now, I just do it cold. I open them up, rinse them off, put some Greek seasoning, Louisiana hot sauce on there, which I put Louisiana hot sauce on everything. And my wife hates it because she says I lose the flavor of whatever it is she has made, because Louisiana hot sauce does tend to overpower a lot of things, mostly soups. I'll toss it in some soup. Love it. Anyway, that's my bowl of beans. And it's 63 grams of fiber. If you're interested, that'll get you going. That'll get you where you need to be. I think according to my Fitness Pal, like 38 grams is your daily value, which I believe I've heard people say, whoever, probably YouTube, that's still low. Like America's probably the lowest on their fiber. We don't get enough fiber. But this one bowl of beans is 63 grams of fiber, which is good for you. Now, it's also approximately 1,000 calories. Not so good for you. But it's beans. Back to being good for you. Also a lot of carbs. Probably. Here's the diet conundrum. I have a massive bowl of beans, which my wife says, yes, it's too much. You're eating too many beans. Even if it's healthy for you, you can still eat too much. That's my issue. Okay, all right. Shout out to my fellow fatties out there. This is my problem as a fat man with the Weight Watchers diet. The Weight Watchers has 0 point foods, and they are the quote unquote, not quote unquote. I didn't know why I quote unquoted that. They are the healthy foods. It's vegetables, fruits, legumes. They also have 0 pointed potatoes, some starches. You can eat a lot of potatoes, and that's a lot of. You're not going to get skinny eating a whole buttload of potatoes. Low fat meats like your chicken breast. But they've even changed that to some dark meat, like chicken. I can eat chicken thighs all I want. But Gina says, that's my wife. She says you're missing the point. They want you to eat healthy, and also you need to learn portions. Because there's 0 point foods doesn't mean you can eat a salad bowl full of them. It's still too much food. And yes, I get that, but that's why my brain is broken. Because I eat too much, no matter what it is. I also consume vast amounts of liquid, as has been stated on this show before. Give me a liquid, I can consume it in voluminous quantities. Give me 5 gallons, I could probably drink something. You give me 5 gallons of something I like to drink, I'll drink it. Yeah, I have problems, and therefore I'm fat, and I come by it also genetically. My mother was, okay, I know fat's not, but I am. As a fat man, I can say fat, right? My mother was large. I'll say large. It's a little softer. I'm large. My mother was large. My grandmother was large, etc. You get the idea? Yeah, the whole side of my family is a large people. And so, yes, a lot of it is genetic. A lot of it is mental, and the fight continues. And yes, we discussed this between me and Dan somewhat, so I'm not going to go too much into it. However, along this line of food thought before I move on, not food for thought. That would be, interesting. I don't have anything like that. I'm just producing content here. This is my food thought. I have definitively come to a conclusion on what is my favorite food. And for many people, that's difficult because, yes, I do enjoy Tex-Mex. I enjoy Asian cuisine of all types, Chinese. I enjoy sushi. I enjoy pad thai, some Thai dish, et cetera, et cetera. I enjoy Italian. I really like Italian. I enjoy hot dogs, hamburgers. And at one point in time, spaghetti was my number one, though. Which is weird because even though when I go to an Italian restaurant with my wife, I always get a chicken parmesan. Chicky parmesan. No matter where I go, no matter what the Italian restaurant, chicken parmesan is just my go-to. I don't waste time with looking at the menu. I look at the menu to see how much their chicken parmesan costs. That's the extent of my looking at the menu. But I am an adventure. I've become way more adventurous in my older years at trying different stuff. I will try stuff, but I just know this is what is always going to be good at these types of restaurants. So therefore, that's what I get. As opposed to, my wife, Sade, they'll look at me. We can drive up to McDonald's. I've been to McDonald's my whole life, and so have they. And they still need to look at the menu at McDonald's. Get your Egg McMuffin and move on. Get your Big Mac and move on. Or it's McDonald's. Why do you need to look at the menu? Anyway, again, fat man, first world problems, all of the above. But I've definitively come to a conclusion on my favorite food. And okay, that's kind of a cheat. It's kind of a cheat. It's a genre. Sandwiches. I love a sandwich of all kinds. And no, I'm not going to go into, okay. And I will even say, not necessarily hamburgers, even though hamburgers are a sandwich. However, at restaurants, they'll have a hamburger menu and then they'll have a sandwich menu. But I mean, on the sandwich menu, they'll have a chicken sandwich between two buns. And they don't call it okay. Well, we're not going to get into pedantics here. Is that the right word? I think so. I love hamburgers. I absolutely love a cheeseburger. And now the smash burgers are all the go and have been for probably 5 years now. They're okay. I'm not too crazy about them, but I, of course, will eat them. But I stopped and got a hamburger the other day. And I was wishing after I got done with eating it, because there was a sandwich shop next to it. I was like, I wish I had just gotten a sandwich. Here's why. I can't express my thoughts onto why I like board games. But get me talking about some food. I will clearly express my feelings. Here's why. This is what Jerry says. This is what I like, and here's why. Sandwiches come in a vast variety. So for one, variety. The types of bread, the types of meat, the types of cheese, the types of toppings, right? And I like that combination. Your bread, the meat, the cheese, and the toppings. Generally, lettuce, tomato, onion, bell pepper, whatever. And then, of course, your dressing. Why is this so? You have a variety of flavor and textures in one bite. And I absolutely love that. I tried the carnivore diet for all of 2 days one time. I lasted only 2 days because I got sick of the same texture over and over and over for, in 2 days, how many meals could I have? 6 at the most? I mean, I guess I could eat more than that, but chewing meat, well, okay. I mean, you can have a variety of chews, I guess, from a hamburger patty to maybe the tougher chew of a steak. But I missed the crunch of a salad on the carnivore diet. I missed the crunch of a salad. Give me a cucumber to crunch on. Sandwiches provide all the textures. The crunch of the lettuce, the crunch of an onion, the crisp of the bread, the wholesome savoriness of the meat, the cheesy goodness of, guess what? The cheese. Yes, all those flavors, all those textures. Absolutely love it. I'm a sandwich guy. I'm a sandwich guy, and I'm not looking back. And presently, my favorite sandwich is the Italian sandwich, which is generally, they make it in a variety of ways. I mean, there's a McAllister's here that makes an Italian sandwich. You can get an Italian BMT or whatever it is at Subway, but just some variety of that. It's got pepperoni, salami, whatever else, you want to put on in some Italian dressing or something. Anyway, yeah, sandwiches are definitively my favorite food. If you take me, I could eat McAllister's and Subway. I know it's got a terrible rap. Yes, I know the bread is basically cake, but I've been eating Subway for decades, however long they've been in business. I can eat. When I was truck driving, I knew where all the Subway shops were. I would pull in if I could in my big truck, and I'd get me a sandwich. And I did that every day, literally every day, if I had the money for it. It's expensive. It's not a cheap habit. Yeah, so that's my life. Sandwiches. What else have I been up to? Well, I played Splendor Duel with my wife. I mentioned I purchased this the other day because we were playing Rummy Cube, and I'm going to stick with that translation, Rummy Cube. I guess it's a pronunciation. It's a fine game, Rummy Cube is. You know, it's based on some classic, a classic mechanism. You can have runs or straights. But I bought Splendor Duel. My wife liked the original Splendor, but I wasn't a fan of it. You all know Jerry hated it. But I'm more tolerant of entry-level to family-level games than Jerry is. Splendor Duel, as everyone else has said, and I agree, Splendor Duel is far superior. I had a friend of mine ask me, I told him that, me and my wife were playing Splendor Duel. He's like, what's that? Of course, I explained board games to him. He was familiar with Battleship, etc. He'd played Rummy Cube, though. I said, no, they make 2-player specific board games. They're very good for you and your significant other, you and a best friend, or you and one other person. Well, I got to be specific. You and one other person. And these games are perfect for them. They're generally titled something duel. In this case, Splendor Duel. So in the original Splendor, you could perform, I think it was 4 actions. You could take 3 different chips of your choosing, if the stack was available. You could take 2 of the same chip, if the stack was available. It couldn't be 3 or more chips. If it was any 3 or less of that type, then you couldn't take the 2. Oh, it's a weird rule. Or you could do a gold chip and a reservation. You could take a card to reserve to pay for in a future turn. Basically, if you sold something on the table you wanted, you didn't have the money for it, you could take a gold token and then take that card and reserve it and then build up your chips enough to pay for it later, right? And of course, the gold token is a wild. And then you could, of course, purchase the cards once you are gathered up enough chips. It's just a resource collection, set collection, resource management. Very simple game. And it was a hit, a massive hit. 2014, I think it came out. Massive hit with many iterations. Many covers of it. There's like Marvel. I think Marvel made a version of it. Actually, it might be many iterations of it, but they finally redid it. Came out with a second edition. I think Marvel made an edition, and people liked all of those better than the original. And as far as theme, even in this new one, Splendor Duel, they're like, oh, the theme goes better. You can actually see this thing costs 3 gems, and you can see this necklace in the picture has 3 gems in it. That's what you're crafting. It doesn't matter. My wife not once has asked me, what's the theme of this game? No, I just say you're collecting these things to buy these cards. That's what you're doing. That's all she needed to know. That's all she cared about. Those are the rules. So theme is 100%. If that's important to you in Splendor, then that's very picky, is all I'm going to say. But hey, you do you. That's what they say to, put an asterisk on everything. You do you. So I don't get in trouble for people that care about the theme of Splendor. It's stupid. It doesn't matter. But Splendor Duel, apparently the theme is better. That's ridiculous. But anyway, in Splendor Duel, instead of just chips being laid out there and you picking your chips and getting to 15 points, you win. There's a variety of ways to gather your chips. There's a few different ways to gather your chips. There's also different ways to win. There's 3 different ways to win specifically. And there's the cards that you purchase also have a few different powers on them. One of the cards lets you take a whole nother turn. One of the cards lets you pick another gem off so the main thing of this Splendor Duel is, instead of just stacking up the gems and you pick the gems you want, there's a board with specific spots for the random gems, and you put them out there randomly, and you can take any 3 that are adjacent to each other, orthogonally or diagonally. If there's a blank spot in between some, though, you cannot gather one, then hit a blank spot, then gather another gem on the other side of it. There has to be consecutive gems to take. Well, contiguous, I guess, would be the correct term for that. I always forget. Or you can take a gold, like in the original Splendor, and reserve a card. Now, some of these actions you do will enable your opponent to get these little scrolls that simply enable them to take a free gem action, basically. They can take a free gem of their choice off the board anytime before their turn. And there's some pearls in there that are it's just another gem, basically, but it's pearl. And anyway, so you have the player board with the gems on them. And then one of the actions you can do is refresh the player board. It doesn't get refreshed automatically. You have to take one of your optional turns to do it if you so choose to do it. Basically, it's you and the other person fighting it out on who's going to give first to replace the board, because if you replenish the board, it gives the other person a scroll, which the scrolls are good because it gives that person a free gem of their choosing, basically. It's basically still Splendor, but the adjustments they made are good. They're really good, and I like it. No, I will never play this with Jerry. It will never be played with anybody else, probably. It'll be played with people that are not familiar with board gaming like we are. The Jerry types, don't bother. I don't know. I'm sure most people out there will be playing it with people that are kind of, sort of into board games, but not really. I'm sure you're going to have your, some rando say, oh, I absolutely love Splendor. No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's way better than Splendor. I enjoy playing it with my wife. I really do. Will I play this with another board gamer? Will I take it to BGG, the convention, and look for other people to play? No, never. But it's a very casual game to play with the casual, basically non-gamer. Yeah, there, I said it. Is that gatekeeping? I don't know. Maybe it is. It's true as far as I'm concerned. The people I know, Sade, Gina, they like Splendor Duel. Enrique, Jerry, not so much. Anyway, there's my review. Splendor Duel, the original, I don't even know that we reviewed it and I gave it a proper rating, which, really doesn't matter in the whole scheme of things, but I definitely like it better than Splendor, and I definitely don't mind playing it, so I give it a 6 out of 10. I give it a 6 out of 10. That's right. It's above average. Even though on the BGG scale of things, I think that is probably average, because that BGG scale is weird. But in my scale, where a 5 is average, as it is in math, out of 10, I give it a 6. 6 out of 10. And that's going to do it for this pod solo. If I have watched Superman and enjoy it and have time to give a review, I will give it a spoiler-filled review, so do not listen unless you've seen Superman. And if I have time to do it, I will put it here. Now, as you listen to that, you'll realize that is not the music for Superman 2025. And I'm explaining this because I have with me Sir Mark Besada, the green tank of Board Game Barrage, for a point-counterpoint discussion. No, just joking. I won't make many good points. But I think maybe you sensed my somewhat not purely positive tone in a post on our Discord. And Mark,
that's correct.
You came in there, guns a-blazing, saying you love this movie. And so I thought, who else better to have on this episode of The Snobs as we discuss Superman 2025? What I played, Mark, was the intro. If I were to say the words, somebody save me.
Save me?
To a Superman-themed product. Maybe I would sing it to you.
No.
Let me sing it to you. Somebody save me.
What?
Did you ever watch the show Smallville?
No, I did not. Okay, yes. Hands up. I admit I did not watch Smallville.
Oh, I thought I was talking to a real fan here. Here we go.
Well, let's get into that. So I was not aware of your Superman fandom. You said on the Discord when I went in there, as you said, guns blazing. You mentioned that you're a Superman fan, and you were, I guess, spoiler for our opinions. You were less than enthusiastic about this one. So, what's your background with Superman? Like, what's your how do you come to the game?
He is my number one superhero. I have a poster of him in my room. He's always been my number one. I have the Justice League as well. I didn't even discover like Marvel and them until all the movies come out, basically.
Yeah.
He was the comic I collected, other than Archie and Jughead. I would read Superman,
wow.
Archie, and Jughead. Because if you notice, see, I like the purity. I like Superman. He's.
Oh my God, this is so interesting to me that you're going with I like the purity, and now I'm really curious because I thought you were gonna go a different way, in not liking it. But my interest is even more piqued.
No.
Because I thought, and again we'll talk about this more later, but I thought you might be coming at this in a pro Snyderverse. Dark Superman and going the other way, but no, you're going actually the same way I'm going. I feel like we'll see. We'll talk, I guess, more about it later. But okay, I can.
I figured that might be what you think I felt like. I'm a Snyder guy, as they say.
Yeah.
No, as a young man, so I was born in 1977. I think Superman, the original movie, came out in 1977 or 1978. One of those two.
Yeah, I think 1978, but yeah.
At a very young age, probably 4 or 5, I would wrap a red towel around my neck and lay on my belly in the hallway. And we lived in the housing authority. So whatever those government issued linoleum tiles were, or vinyl tiles.
Sure.
And I would slide my belly around on those tiles with my arms and legs outstretched as if I was flying like Superman. The effects would have been nearly just as comparable back in the 1970s.
No doubt about that. Right.
And I sporadically read the comics because I was a poor person. I couldn't collect comic books. I would pick up a random comic, read it. And of course, that's my issue with comics which kind of goes into this movie. You pick up a random issue. Well, you're going to be in the middle of a grand several arc magazine story, and you're going to come in completely lost and not get the conclusion most of the time, because I don't know when the trades would finally started happening, but that's when I would just buy the whole story. I think the first one I bought was actually Death of Superman.
Okay.
So
I remember watching like the regular news. It was just like the regular 10 o'clock news, and they were talking about the death of Superman, and like Superman is dead. And like sometimes when a famous person dies, they have those obituary shots where they show the person's face grayed out with like the birth and death date at the bottom. For the regular news, they had like somber music and had the Superman like crest with the birth and death. I was like, oh my God. And I remember going out the next week and standing in line and buying like copies of the Death of Superman, like in the black polyurethane bag or whatever. Yeah.
R.I.P. Kal-El. So yeah, if you're only familiar with the mainstream movies, well, they kind of did it in Batman versus Superman, but Superman died, Doomsday beat him to death, and then his whole resurrection was real messy. But anyway, so Superman 1, Superman 2, of course, those came out all the way through 4 with Christopher Reeves. The first 2 were good. The last 2 aren't worth really discussing. I don't know why, but I missed Lois and Clark, the Dean Cain version.
Okay. So I was into that. I watched those when they came out pretty regularly. So that was my exposure to like a television Superman. Aside from, I remember as a kid, I watched the old George Reeves Adventures of Superman, like black and white.
Yes, I'm familiar. I think I attempted to watch some of those. I couldn't do it.
You have to watch them as a kid. Like that, they are, the stories are super straightforward and corny. And I don't think they hold up, watching them with a more discerning eye. But I watched them like, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, or Saturday morning or something on some weird channel that was local to LA at the time. So, yeah.
And then Superman Returns comes out
Right.
2006.
6. Yeah. I remember being super excited about that. Yeah.
Super excited. And it wasn't everything I wanted it to be, but I really did like it, especially the scene where he's come bringing the whole yacht out of the ocean. That was good. I mean, it had a few good moments in
plane
it.
scene. Yeah, the plane scene was the plane rescue
Oh,
and
yeah.
the like bullet. The bullet to the eye is in that one, right? The
Yeah,
bullet to the
yeah.
eye. Yeah. That one had good scenes too. I remember being super. Again, it was pun non intended. I was really excited when it came out after the long layoff between movies for sure.
We're only going to use the adjective super in this particular episode. Brandon Routh, to me, carried the essence of Christopher Reeve. He looked a lot like him. I really liked Brandon Routh, and I wanted great things for him. And he ended up just being whatever the
one and done.
Yeah, he did the Flash, and that shows the Ray. I don't know, Atom Man or something. I forget. And I watched the Flash too. And then, of course, the cartoons, the DC, the Warner Brothers animated series. I like those. Even the one that was with all of and if you go previously, Super Friends, of course, in the 80s.
Right. Oh, of course. Yes, that was
Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice,
which makes an appearance in the 2025 Superman. Yeah,
that was good stuff. So, I mean, I've been a Superman guy for a long time.
Yeah.
Man of Steel has the teaser trailer with the it's the music from Lord of the Rings, like the bridge sequence or something, Khazad-dûm. It's got like a piece of that playing. You know, it's ethereal, it's atmospheric, and you see the swing going back and forth, and the little boy with his cape tied around his neck playing.
Yeah.
And of course, Russell Crowe, speaking very deeply, and I can't remember exactly, but unfortunately, that teaser trailer evoked more emotion from me. Okay, I'll go ahead and say it. That teaser trailer evoked more emotion from me, not only from those movies, but this movie as well, which is kind of my issue with it. Like, I just, it made me feel something. And then I proceeded to be very let down with Man of Steel.
Yeah. Okay. Really interesting. God, this is not at all where I thought we were going to be going. I'm okay. Very, very interesting. Real quick, I guess I'll just fill in my sort of Superman thing was, much like you, like I grew up Superman being my favorite superhero and I think it still probably isn't cool. Like definitely all my friends were way, way, way more into Batman. Maybe a couple of them Spider-Man, but Superman was definitely not really, although he was like, I think more in the culture at the time, like in the early mid 80s, but was not a cool character to be a fan of, I don't think. But it was always my favorite. And for the same reasons you sort of said, like the purity of the character, like the aspirational side of him. And yeah, it did the same sort of things that you were talking about, like wearing the cape and running around and, standing with that pose, like the arm, the fists on your hips sort of pose, and the whole thing. So, and then, I read the comics here and there very, very sporadically as a kid. And like you sort of got more into the trades later on, when I got the chance. Also, I know like role-playing games are really big now, but another thing that got me really steeped into the DC universe at the time was the DC role-playing game. So it's like a Dungeons & Dragons, but with DC characters. I was massively into that. Like I got really, really deep. I run a whole bunch of campaigns. You like could create your own superheroes, and my friends would create superheroes, and I would like make adventures for them. And so that got me, I read like a whole bunch of like background into the DC universe at the time. And then after that must have been like junior high. And then after that sort of lost touch with things a little bit. Watched again Lois and Clark, but didn't really watch anything after that. But as you sort of mentioned, I would watch the movies whenever they came out. And we'll get into this when I guess we get into the rankings, with I think less and less enthusiasm as they were released. But then just watch the 2025 one. And I don't know like if we want to discuss that, I guess more thoroughly or where we want to go, but I did really enjoy 2025 a lot.
Yeah, we can go ahead and get started to the 2025 Superman movie. My initial thoughts before full spoilers.
Yeah. So let me. Oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know if you want to give a sort of a heads up before we get into it, but I was just curious about what your expectations were going into the movie. But if there's any caveats that need to be thrown out first, by all means.
After my expectations, after Man of Steel, I've learned to temper my expectations.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I really did go in there like I expected to just come out, basically fly out of the theater, on my own power because of my expectations. Very let down. And having previously just seen Jurassic World Rebirth, I didn't have high expectations, but I was like, maybe it could do. It was a pretty terrible movie, other than the fact that it had dinosaurs chasing people, which is always cool. So, and I had heard this movie was kind of polarizing. There, of course, and I'm not even talking politically. I know there's a whole political thing, and I think that some people have issues with that. I do not. No, I think we should be good, caring people. It's not an issue for me. I was the four of us, me and three other friends, that we all have similar interests. We tend to all go to the superhero shows. We all go to the sci-fi movies. I did that was who I did my Disagreeable Nerd podcast with. We all came out of this movie. We were talking about it. There's a lot to talk about. And we just all said, I thought I would feel more.
Okay.
And that's my biggest gripe with the movie. And I see other people have said they felt things. So I want to rewatch it because, again, I have no issue rewatching this movie. I want to rewatch it knowing now what to fully expect and have my expectations there, blah, 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 and wonder if I feel differently, because I do like the movie. It was enjoyable, highly entertaining, but I just didn't feel absolutely anything for any of the characters.
Okay. So I went in. So I remember hearing about James Gunn doing Superman and being a little concerned because I like Guardians of the Galaxy fine. It's a fine movie. I kind of like the more comedic take on superhero movies, just giving it a breath of fresh air. But I did not really. I wasn't really looking forward to that much. Like I did not like the Snyder version. I do not like the dark Superman, everything in black and all that stuff. So I was thinking to myself, okay, at least we're moving away from that, but this may be a little too jokey, a little bit too far. And then the trailer, the very first trailer came out. That was the one with Crypto, right? I think. And
that's the one I remember.
That sort of like made me think that, okay, this actually might be something that I like. And it took me back to 2006 before Superman Returns came out. And the hope I had there, like the hope that they were going to get it right. Because I remember when Superman 6 they were talking about it and talking about it being like the sequel really to Superman 2. And I remember seeing stills for that and being excited for it and seeing it was more colorful. And thinking, okay, well, this, and just getting my hopes up for that one. Watching the trailer, that first trailer for the new one, the 2025 Superman, and thinking, oh, okay, wait, this actually might be something that is what I was looking for back then. And then I started hearing good things, like, again, polarizing things like you said, but also I heard some critics that I trust, like giving it positive reviews. And then I immediately said, okay, I've got to tamp down these expectations. So I stopped watching anything for it. I stopped trying to reading anything that I stumbled over, because I started worrying that this was going to be a good movie or an okay movie that I would go in there with like massive expectations and then walk out disappointed. That was where I was at going into that. And to address your didn't feel things thing, which again, I keep repeating this, but I'm just so pleasantly surprised, I would say, that this is your issue with it, because again, I was worried that I was going to be coming here with like a guy who's more like wanted a more cynical take, and that's not what you seem to be looking for. But this movie, like, I'm a person who's very free with their emotions. Like I get choked up a lot, very, very often for things that shouldn't be choking me up. This movie got me choked up 3 or 4 times, like tears welling. Part of the reason I was concerned to do this like conversation with you is that I feel like I will probably get choked up a couple times talking to you about it, because it's like it feels like such a return to what I wanted and like what the character represents for me. So like it's in terms of like, and it's not a perfect, we'll get more on this I'm sure later, but like not a perfect movie for sure, but like in terms of like hitting me emotionally, like yes, definitely.
I mean, I kind of would like to see you get a little choked up, but
it's probably gonna like
I'm
like
very
in reviewing
emotional.
Sorry, in reviewing the movie, like just to like prep for this a little bit and going over like, I just want to remember some key scenes and just going over that stuff. I was like, oh man, if I start talking about these moments, I'm just gonna like, I'm gonna start like my throat's gonna start catching and I'm gonna get choked up.
Really?
So, you're probably, yeah, for sure. There's a couple scenes that are just like,
okay,
for me.
Well, we've set the stage with the general thoughts, and now we'll go into full spoilers. So here we go. Spoiler alert. From here on out, full spoilers. Okay. So my nitpicks with this movie. One, as I said, the main one is I didn't feel anything. And I think part of that reason is, as I mentioned earlier, they drop you right into the middle of the universe. It's as if you picked up a random issue of the comic and just started reading. And Superman's already established. I think it said 3 years now he came out, or was it months?
Yeah.
Okay, so he announced.
I think 3 years.
I think it was 3 years, and now he's lost his first battle. And that's something else. So you're in the middle of the universe, and no, we do not need an origin story. We don't need to see him growing up at Smallville because we all know the story. But I think it somewhat suffered from that because I just didn't feel the connections there. The little moment with Ma and Pa Kent, who, I mean, okay, we get they're Southern, and I think she actually had a real Southern accent. I'm not quite sure where from. But yeah, she was the kind of a country bumpkin type, and Paul Kent had the nice discussion with him outside. I don't know if that's one of the moments that choked you up. It certainly did not me, because I don't know. Everything fell flat for me in this movie, even the humor, and that's a driving force for me. If something or someone is funny, I am there. But almost, not all, almost every joke in this movie, even from Alan Tudyk, who I love, is any robot. I loved K2SO. As number 4, didn't do nothing for me. I don't know, it's just something missed on every level of this movie. Not every level, that's not correct. Emotionally. And I think it suffered from us not seeing any of these relationships grow. It just dropped us into the middle of this, and we're supposed to already, and we do, because we're all mostly familiar with, the Superman lore, even though they do extend it quite a bit with the Superman robots and all the extra additives that were really in this movie. But Crypto, did not like him. Did not like Crypto. And I won't watch a movie where an animal gets hurt or dies. I won't.
What? Oh, why? How could you have this take? How could you be a Superman fan that is into like the purity of the character, and how could you be a dog lover and have? I just don't understand. This is not the talk I was expecting to have.
Crypto.
I was not. I was like, my next question was like, okay, well then you don't like animals, right? You're not a big animal person.
No.
And you're telling me that you can't watch a movie where an animal gets like, I
would take a bullet for my cat, probably. If someone was out to assassinate my cat, I would dive in front of that bullet for him.
So what? I don't understand. Okay.
Crypto.
So you thought did you think Crypto was like not realistic enough? Like,
no, I actually, when I heard criticisms of the CGI of him, I'm like, I thought it was really good, actually.
So what? So where? So what's the issue?
He is a unruly dog, and I thought, okay, so he's constantly just causing a ruckus. And I thought a relationship would develop between like him not being able to control him and then him being able to control him. But Crypto, their relationship through the movie never changes except for the end when he whistles and Crypto basically saves his life. But that was it. Like nothing happened. He could not control that dog, and it caused chaos.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the okay. A lot to address here. First, the humor part of it. So for me, humor is not as important. I mean, obviously for a comedy would be but for like in terms of like superhero movie or movie in general, it's not as important. And in fact, as I sort of mentioned earlier, I was a little worried about the whole gun factor in this movie. Like one thing that's turned me off of like a lot of Marvel movies recently is how jokey they are, how like winking at the camera they are, and how sort of like slick everybody's comedy is. And it's not, I was just really worried that it was going to be a lot of that in this. And I'm glad that it seems like a lot of like the one-liners and the quips and all that stuff aren't Superman's. Like there's a couple times where he has like, I think a gun sort of like joke, like the whole I'm trying here thing, or I'm doing good. I can't remember exactly what the line is.
Wait. For the most part, I think, at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He's like hurt and
yeah, he's like just defeated Ultraman, and he's like, you're catching your breath in this wonderful, finally like climactic, victorious moment, undercut by a joke.
I agree. Look, I 100% agree with that. That was a part that I did not enjoy. And in general, like I thought the humor was fine. Maybe I was like okay with the humor. I was more okay with the humor than I normally would be because I was just so worried about it. I was so worried about everything being undercut, like the sincerity being undercut. And I think for the most part, they avoid Superman making those kinds of jokes.
Well, he did.
So okay,
but others did, and it was undercut.
Yeah, others did. I agree. I agree. But for me, the thing is like the important part is Superman, and as long as they keep Superman out of that, if you need to do some of that on the periphery, if you need Guy Gardner, throw in some one-liners that didn't land with me, but like that's fine. It wasn't like offensive to me. It was fine. The crypto thing. So if you told me before all this stuff was announced, like crypto's going to be a movie, I would be terrified. I watched that first, little bit preview of it or whatever, the first spoiler that came out, or first thing, and seeing crypto being announced, and I was like, okay, this is actually seems sincere. Seems like I loved crypto. I absolutely loved crypto, and I like. Yes, there isn't like that whole progress with him, learning to be a better dog, but that is sort of the point. And this is one of the lines that got me. Okay, is when he's like going to and you can hear myself like choke up when he's going to give himself up to the government, I think it is, because he's Luthor has convinced him to force him to go after Superman, and he decides to turn himself in. And why does he do it? Because they have his dog. And he says, and Lois says like something like, you're going to turn yourself in because they've got your dog. And he's like, and the line is, yeah. And he's not even a very good one, but he's out there alone and he's probably scared. And it's like, that is a Superman line, loved it. You can hear me.
I can hear you. I hear it. Are you a dog owner?
I'm telling you. I am. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not presently a dog owner. I've actually never owned a dog. We had a stray come up we tried to take care of once or twice. I'm a cat man, but I love all animals. So maybe the fact I'm not a dog guy, I don't own one. My mama had several dogs, which I absolutely adored. So it's not that. I don't know. To me, they didn't. And this is why this is, of course, this is a stupid thing to say. This is all subjective because for me, I didn't see the relationship. Others like you felt that, and I wish I did. I just did not.
Well, but that's the thing. It's he doesn't even like the dog, but it's like he sees the value of a life, and he understands a creature is scared. So like it's the same thing, which to me was an important scene, but I think a lot of people think it was silly. But when like I can't remember what it is, like the kaiju is destroying the metropolis or whatever, and he takes time to save the squirrel. That's another important thing. It's like life is valuable.
Okay.
I mean, he certainly doesn't have a relationship with the squirrel or anything, but it's like life,
squirrel man,
and that's another
driving me nuts.
That's another thing that was so important to me versus like the Snyder thing, where like Superman is in a fight with Zod and destroying everything, like no value in human life or whatever. Here, it's like he does everything he can to prevent as any sort of like anybody getting injured. Like even pays attention to buildings. Everything is like life is important in all aspects, and that's, I think, an important characteristic of the Superman character.
I agree with that. I did not him snapping the neck. Not my Superman. Not my hashtag. Not my Superman. I did love Henry Cavill as I thought he looked the part.
I agree. I agree.
But okay, so I'm glad you said that. The inconsistency of that characteristic. He didn't want to hurt this kaiju, the giant toad thing that, of course, it wasn't explained. I guess it doesn't need to be explained how it was a baby, then it got big, or where it came from, anything. But that's fine. I get that this is a wild world. This is a comic book universe. Again, you're just dropped in. You have the Justice Gang, who's Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, and Mr. Terrific. Their origins. I wonder so this is just a question. Do you think that they drop you in here with the expectations of we're going to get all these stories fleshed out in movies to create the universe? Or is it everybody already knows these people?
Yeah, that's also one thing that I'm sort of interested in your take about this. I think they drop you in because you sort of already know the backstory for the most part. I think, they expect you going in there to know the origin a little bit. And I think it sort of saves them time going over it again. And you sort of can get right into the story they want to tell.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that aspect of the movie bothering somebody who was like complete out of comic books or had no idea. I mean, I don't even know if these people exist, like people who don't know the Superman origin story. So I can see somebody who like went in there like not knowing anything, being bothered by being thrown in there. But for me, I had no problem with it, and I expected, again, most people going in there knowing it, so didn't really strike me as an odd choice. But I can sort of understand what you're saying.
Yeah, the Green Lanterns, I like their stories. Of course, everybody likes the Hal Jordan Green Lantern. There's also the John, what's his name? John Stewart, which I think they had plans to make all these stuff movies. I don't know what's going to come to fruition. Hawk Girl, I'm mostly familiar with because of the Flash and Arrow and stuff like that.
Damon Lindelof, who was a guy who created Lost and did the Watchmen HBO series, he's doing a show now called The Lanterns about the Green Lantern Corps.
Okay, yeah, I would be interested. Yeah. But okay, back to the inconsistency of the squirrel. So he doesn't want to hurt the squirrel, but at the end of the movie, he throws this world leader on a cactus, not worrying about the pain it causes him.
At the beginning, right.
He lets. So that's what I'm saying. So he doesn't want to cause any harm, but I guess if it's to bad guys, it's kind of okay, because when Krypto goes and mauls Lex Luthor, mauls him terribly.
Well, he tells him he tries to get Krypto to stop.
I know, but okay. I don't know. That was just kind of the thing of there's that's like I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I get that. That's not the most super consistent thing, but I think that was, again, that struck me as like an effort for like a comic moment. I mean, I think it was obviously
there you go.
Like a comic
That's
moment.
Like the biggest.
And yes, yeah, it was. It did not. Again, for me, like Superman valuing the sanctity of life is like super important, and like for me, that didn't cross the line, or that didn't approach the line. So that didn't bother me. But I get that. I get what you're saying.
So, okay, and to go back to Man of Steel, that whole Man of Steel, BVS, Batman vs Superman, and then the Justice League, whichever version, I prefer the uncut version of the two extremely dark slow-mo movies.
Sure.
Did not like the whole Christopher Nolan of it all, because he started this whole, realistic, dark, depressing superhero thing, which I liked with the Batman movies. To me, Superman, it works with Batman. Superman is not that. Superman is
that's true.
What we've discussed. Superman is hope. It literally says that's what his S stands for in the movie, but yet it was terrible.
Super dark. Yeah.
I think, to me, it's like this one overcorrected and going too far the other way with all the jokes, with all the camp, with the dog, with the robots, with the jokes. It like overcorrected. I want somewhere right perfectly down the middle. And I would prefer this. I prefer this style. Don't get me wrong. I prefer this to the Snyderverse by far. But and for instance, speaking of the jokes that took away, so towards the end when Superman's dying, that guy has whatever the guy's name was that could turn his body into whatever.
Yeah, Elemental Man. I think he also goes by Metamorpho, but yeah.
So he had turned himself into kryptonite, and he was basically slowly killing Superman. They were in a cage. Changes his mind, sees he sees the bad guy Lex is, and that's another thing. I get too off on tangent. I'll stick with Metamorpho. So a moment was, Metamorpho changes his mind, so now he's going to save Superman, turns his body into the sun, a yellow sun type similarity that heals Superman, where Superman can bust him out because Metamorpho's child is across the way being bullied by Lex's henchmen.
Yeah.
Superman saves the child. It could have been an emotional moment, but it was undercut by perhaps one of the better jokes of the movie, and the fact that this alien's child's name was Joey.
Right.
He goes, Joey! Yeah. Like, you don't expect this weird creature alien baby's name to be Joey. It was funny, but it could have been an emotional reunion. But it was undercut by the fact the child's name was Joey. That's the thing. So my biggest problem is that it's just, we went for laughs. A lot of it fell flat, and the lack of, I felt no emotional anchor to this movie, which I'm saying over and over and over. Okay. And so
you didn't find it like you thought. I mean, maybe that's what you're saying. Like, I was going to ask you if you didn't find it sincere, and I guess you're saying that you found the humor to undercut the sincerity too much, or just didn't connect you with you. Period.
Like the end of the movie where he says the whole thing of, even though he was, we'll discuss. Let's go ahead and get to. I appreciated the attempt at sincerity. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So the big twist of the movie, which also doesn't bother me, because I've read the comics, is Superman's parents, for the most part, through the first half of the movie, Superman's message was, he had a message from his parents, and it was very positive towards him. Well, then you find out, half of the message was, last half of the message was destroyed. Lex, whatever that lady's name, she was able to repair it, and come to find out, Jor-El, and what's his mama's name?
Laura, I think.
Laura. I think that's correct. So apparently they wanted him to go to Earth and basically subjugate it, breed with a bunch of women, and make Earth his own planet. So his parents, his Kryptonian parents, weren't good folks. And that is supposed to be a big plot point of the movie, in that Superman, his parents, who they make a point of saying it repeatedly through me. Whenever he feels bad, he watches this video of his Kryptonian parents, and it soothes him, because he only had the first half of the message, which was positive, we love you type stuff. apparently the second half, which was supposedly verified, even though Lex and his henchmen discovered it and decoded it and found out, okay, we love you. We're going to save you by sending you to this planet. Go ahead and subjugate it. Have a harem of women. And then the media gets a hold of it and Superman gets canceled because the message gets out.
Yeah.
I didn't like the fact, for me, he didn't really struggle with his feelings for his Kryptonian parents and the message. Like, he chooses Ma and Pa Kent and Earth very easily to me. Like, there was no, he could have been frustrated at how imperfect and stupid the humans are, and they war with each other, and they even all that he's done for them, they don't trust him, and he could have struggled. I think they did that maybe a little bit better in Man of Steel, but in this movie, it wasn't really that big a deal. He chose his earthly ways and his earthly people as family, and thus the message of, which is a nice message of, you choose your family, you can choose to do good no matter where you come from, that type of thing.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of points here. I thought when the second half is translated and it comes out and it's being played on all the TV and stuff like that, I thought that the world reaction, the people in the street reaction, and this is another clip from the trailer where the guy throws something at Superman. I thought the reaction, the people instantly souring on him just because this message was a little insincere, didn't really feel very real. I mean, I sort of would chalk that up to just a movie needing to get the story moving. And I think, and I agree with you that he did not wrestle with that, the dual nature of that, these parents who are my inspiration have now shown themselves to be nefarious, and what do I do with this? I think there isn't very much wrestling with it. There is a little bit, but there isn't a lot of it. But I think the conclusion, where he talks to, Pa Kent, and Pa Kent tells him that, you are your own person. You make the choices. Your choices determine the person you are, not your parents. I thought that was a fitting resolution to it. I think that felt right. Again, was it hurried a little bit? Sure, I will give you that. But I think it when it got there, it felt okay. It felt like it made sense, and it felt true to the character in the story.
What were not that I'm trying to make you cry. So if it was that part with the dog, what were at least one other point that made you?
Moments. Yeah, sure. Well, a perfect moment is like what you sort of brought up, where they talk about his being with his parents or watching his parents soothed him, and then because it starts out with him in the fortress, having lost his first fight. He's in there. They're playing the video, the snippet, the first half they have, and then at the end, he's healing. At the end of this movie, everything's resolved, and as they're working on him, they say put on the video of his parents. It soothes him, and they put on the Kents, and they have the old family film, and they even have what I loved was they have Pa Kent holding him up in the same way that a lot of dads would hold their kids up in the flying sort of thing, like the Superman sort of pose that a father would have his kid in. And I just that also worked for me
in a Lion King sort of way.
Yes, exactly. The classic.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. Now he finally realized the benefits of Ma and Pa, and that they were the ones that truly loved him, and he loved them. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I like all that messaging. It's very good.
Yeah,
just didn't hit me when it needed to. And let's see, where is it at here? Okay, the other thing, I kept thinking, Lex is. I really liked all of the actors. I thought they did really great in all their roles, even if I felt some of them didn't get what they like. Even Lois, I thought she did a really good job.
I thought Rachel Brosnahan was fantastic. I thought she was great.
Yeah, and I like Superman, the Corn and Sweat, I think that's his name.
Corn Sweat, yeah.
I didn't realize that was the guy from Twisters, the bad guy from Twisters, one of the bad guys.
Oh, I didn't realize that until you just said it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that he leaves on the middle of the road when he goes to save the town from the Twister.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he looks the part. So one of my issues is I feel like they made this Superman a little too relatable, too like he lost almost every fight. He kept getting beat up. And it's like, yeah, okay, I get we're trying to make him more relatable, but I also want him to have some mysterious, or you don't want him to show up type of, I don't know. Just, he was more of just the goofball that kept getting beat up. And like Guy Gardner and the Justice Gang actually did all the heavy lifting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mentioned this in your Discord. Like, I never watch movies like twice in the theater, but like I know I'm going to watch this again, so I'll have to go back in with those eyes, because I did obviously feel like he lost a bunch. He starts the whole movie losing a fight, and I get he was beat down a lot. But that didn't bother me in the moment. Again, maybe in a rewatch I'll notice that. But again, such an important part of Superman to me is his humanity. Like it is the idea that he is an alien, like an all-powerful alien that could, conquer the world in a second, and yet through his desire for goodness chooses to humble himself, to be a servant rather than a dictator. And so maybe it was a little excessive, although again it wasn't for me, but I get you. And I want Superman to be victorious and triumphant and powerful. But it is also important to me that he is as human, as he can be, because it's his choice. Like that's what he wants to do is to assimilate, in the best way possible.
Okay. I got you. I understand. Don't agree necessarily, but I understand.
Yeah, I got you.
Lex hating him I didn't get a good reason why.
Yeah. I mean, he says it's like the envy. He admits he's envious that, he is a genius, and he's worked hard to be a genius and to, become the powerful person that he is. And he sees Superman as somebody who's just like sort of like landed in a rocket and is all powerful just by birth, by luck, and is the objects of everybody's like attention. And yet he's worked so hard and he doesn't get as much adoration. Okay. And also he says there's the whole thing about envious about the fact that, his Superman's existence weakens all humans just by his existence. The fact that this all-powerful creature exists inherently weakens the human race. But I also agree with you that it did not feel necessarily as fleshed out as it could have been. I still was okay with it, but I get that that part, I could see that part not connecting for sure.
And go back to what I was going to start on earlier. So when he's fighting, first of all, the Hammer of Baravir, or whatever the made-up nation name is, which is actually Ultraman, which is actually just a clone of Superman. They talk about how predictable Superman is, and they're just calling out these moves like bingo style. Like whenever Superman's fighting Ultraman, which is a clone of Superman, they call out a number B12, and it's a reaction to whatever. Right. And they're like, oh, he's so predictable. We have this basically mathed out. I thought that would go somewhere. But you go to the final fight of him versus Ultraman, and they're still defeating him. Well, they're watching him with these cameras, which to me is like, no, it wasn't the cameras. It was just that he was so predictable. Well, then he has Crypto eat all the cameras, which took away Lex's visibility of the fight, which then therefore completely killed the whole thing. But I expected Superman to finally be like, I'm going to do something not predictable. Like, that's what I expected.
Yeah. I get you. I liked the idea that Lex, because the whole thing about Lex versus Superman is always brain versus brawn. And it's even like called out in the movie. Like it's brain versus brawn. And I like that the personification or like the manifestation of that brain versus brawn was Lex being able to math out how to fight Superman and then like being able to fight him, like physically fight him through his brain using this connection. And Lex like is his most furious when he has Superman through Ultraman, and he's his most furious. He keeps saying, he's ranting at him, but he says A1, 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 which is the audience can tell A1 is a punch to the face, just a straight punch to the face. And it's like the fact that A1, like the first thing that Lex came up with is like a straight punch to the face is like sort of to me feels like the embodiment of his fury. Like the number one thing he wants to do is just punch Superman in the face.
That's a good point.
I will agree with you. That like it didn't necessarily feel super satisfactory to me that like the way that Superman got around it. And look, it is Superman. Superman does not, as you like say, like he doesn't come up with a new thing to trick Lex, but he does use his brain in a matter of speaking by getting Krypto to turn off the cameras. Again, I will admit here that I didn't find that the most satisfactory conclusion to it. Although I will say I'm the biggest Krypto fan. Like I'm all for Krypto. Like I'm down, like whatever. But
you're
I do
a crypto
agree,
bro.
It's right, Krypto bro. Exactly. Not that kind, but a new kind. So it did feel a little bit to me like it was like a cheat by Superman to get around, but it also is him using his brain in a way, getting the dog to chase it like a toy. So again, a situation where I can see your point for sure. But I thought it worked for the most part and didn't really bother me. But I get what you're saying for sure.
So we were both saying, okay, not my Superman. He kills Zod in Man of Steel. Did he kill Ultraman? He goes into a black hole.
Oh, you know what? Okay, this is like a double spoiler. I think what happens there is, I think they're setting up the possibility of Ultraman coming back as Bizarro.
Okay, I heard that as well.
Because, so I think that's what is going on. Because doesn't Ultraman go in there with like some of those cubes? And I think there's like a origin story for Bizarro when he comes from like another world, and there's some sort of cube thing that infects him or something. So I don't think he's meant to be killed. I like the behavior of Superman throughout the movie made me think that he was not killed because he was so careful about life.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. That would it kind of irritate me again if he's so careful not to hurt a squirrel, but he kills Ultraman. And and he, I don't know that he even meant to, but it looks that way as he sent him into the black hole. So you mentioned, I forget that this whole pocket universe that Lex had, the whole pocket universe, very comic booky. The monkeys doing their thing. I didn't care for that, but okay, it's kind of humorous. The anti-proton river. Why did it look like Minecraft cubes?
Yeah, that was, to me, the pocket universe was the weakest part of the movie. I think the incident that makes Metamorpho help Superman, that moment where Lex kills the guy who the falafel dealer or whatever that is like a fan of Superman. I thought that worked very well. But I do agree that the pocket universe in general was like not super great, and the river, the proton river or whatever, was also like not my favorite moment.
Yeah. And so who was your favorite? Everybody seems to like Mr. Terrific.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was good. I mean, of the Justice Gang, he was my favorite. Although I just think the thing that I just thought Cornswell was fantastic, was phenomenal. And I left the movie. My biggest thing was I left the movie wishing there was more Superman, which is like is sort of in general would be a negative. Like I went to a Superman movie and I left wanting to see more Superman, but it's like it left me wanting more. And so I thought the Justice Gang was fine. I probably Mr. Terrific would be my favorite, and then Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner were both just fine. I don't know who I would pick of the two, but I just thought Cornset was phenomenal. I thought Lois was phenomenal, and those two just really, I thought, propelled the movie. And again, just the sincere comic book hopeful nature of the movie was like the thing that did it for me.
Okay. Yeah, I that's what I said I can't rate this below. I liked it. It's a 6 out of 10 presently.
Okay.
I can't rank it any lower because I want to see the next one. I want to see the next one. I
Right.
want to see what happens next, whether it be in a a Justice League style type or just the next Superman movie.
Yeah.
Oh, what was I gonna say? I had something else there. One of the side characters. Oh, the whole Jimmy Olsen inexplicably being highly
Yeah.
attractive to women. That's a silly
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I agree.
I didn't. It's just it was weird, and then he ultimately. That's how they're able to. Oh, and so then also, this also goes to me like I was thinking, did Superman actually do anything in this movie? Because the press, Lois and Perry White and Jimmy Olsen are the ones that blast the truth out about Lex and, completely blow him up and get him taken care of. I guess Superman was the muscle in a scene or two, but that was kind of my thing too. It's like, I know that's a good thing. It's like, oh, that shows the purity of, the journalistic integrity of these reporters, etc. But I was like, did Superman actually accomplish anything himself in this movie?
I mean, look, the fight against the engineer who is like the nanobite assassin, whatever the Lex has, and Ultraman, when he fights them off, that is his biggest fight, I would say, or his like biggest success. But again, I love when Superman is an inspirational character, and I just see him as being inspirational to the human. And again, I also like when Superman needs humans to help him. Like, again, it's the inspiration. It's the like making you think that if you do good and you persevere, that is the right thing. So I don't mind when outside characters, get the glory a little bit. Again, I guess the biggest thing for me is like if you take the Superman Lois part out of it, all the other stuff, the Jimmy Olsen stuff, the Justice Gang stuff, all that stuff, I would rate that like a 6, like maybe what you're saying. I just think that the core for me is like so good that it just elevates the whole thing. But I get you. I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
All right. Well, again, didn't hate it, didn't love it, and thus that's my biggest problem with it is because it did not evoke any emotion out of me, really. But I'm looking forward to the next one, so I'll give it that.
Yeah.
What would we'll do our now rankings of all the Superman and Superman adjacent movies.
Okay, so just to be clear, so I've got all the Supermans that are definitely Supermans, and I've also added. Let me know if you added anything else. I've added Justice League. I added Zack Snyder's Justice League as well, and then I also added Batman vs Superman. Those are the 3
and Man of Steel. Okay,
Superman movies.
Yeah. No, actually, I did not include the theatrical Justice League.
Release of, okay, we can take that out. We can take that out
because I feel like it's. But that's a good point though, because originally when I watched it, didn't care for it. All right, well, go ahead with your list.
Okay, you want me to go from I guess it's 10 to 1.
Yeah, go to top to bottom. I mean, top, yeah, whatever.
Bottom, but yeah, I'll go bottom to top. So, so if we're including it, my bottom is Justice League, the original or the theatrical release Justice League. Just like that was probably the lowest point of me hoping for a good Superman movie. I was like, this is terrible. Like if you had told 8-year-old Mark that there's going to be a Justice League movie with like a ton of special effects and all this stuff, and you were going to hate it, I would never have believed it. And yet I walked out of that theater just like so bummed out. So anyway, that's my bottom. Then I've got Superman 4 is my next. Just like it's like such a low budget thing. It almost feels like a B movie. And just so didn't like it. Superman 3 is next. Richard Pryor being sort of like the co-star. I think it's like I give it points for being sort of like funny, but it just doesn't feel like enough like a Superman movie. Next up is Superman Returns, which was I just see it as a complete like blah movie. Like again, and this is also hurt by me hoping so much that it was going to be something more. Next up is Man of Steel. again, as you said, I'm a big fan of Cavill too. I wish he had gotten better stuff. But this was the beginning of the sort of like dark aspect of him, and this is where he kills Zod, right? This is which is like the most unforgivable Superman moment. I liked the depiction of Krypton. I thought Russell Crowe and Kevin Costner were good as his dads. I think there are some like aspects to it in terms of like the visual part of it that are good, but it is hurt a lot by the characterization.
And
Then I've got Batman vs Superman.
I was just thinking,
What?
going back to Joey as a weird alien name, I was just thinking, it's like Kal-El, Jor-El,
right,
Laura.
Right. Yeah, Laura, that's true. That's true. That's true. Next I have Batman vs Superman, and honestly, like I've only seen this once. I didn't remember it very well, and didn't get a chance to rewatch it. But I remember thinking it was okay, and okay for at this point, okay is better than Man of Steel. Again, Man of Steel bothered me so much that like just being okay raises it to level to like the 5th place spot. Next I have the Zack Snyder Justice League. So as much as I've been talking badly about Zack Snyder, I did like Watchmen. I did like 300. And I think his cut of Justice League is actually enjoyable. Like even though it's 4 hours and I don't think I'd ever watch it again just because of how long it is, I think it is a decent Justice League movie for what it is. Next I have, so number 3, I have Superman 2. I know there's like a Donner cut and the theatrical cut. I think I've only ever seen the theatrical cut. I think that the Donner cut like uses a lot of B footage and recycles a lot of stuff. So I don't think I've ever seen it. And I think it does the whole like reversing the world as the end again. So I don't think that's not what I'm judging. I'm judging the theatrical cut. And I think Christopher Reeve is such a good Superman. I still think he's the best Superman. But I think he's up for a fight now. I think that Margot Kidder, right, as the original Lois Lane is the charisma and like the chemistry they have is phenomenal in those first 2 movies. And so it works to me. I think just the Zod and his guys in part 2 and the way they get right into the action, I think it really works. So for me, Superman 2 is number 3. And then number 1 and number 1 and 2 is just really hard. It was really, really hard for me. I think for now, I'm going to have Superman 2025, the latest one, as number 2. Because just the number 1, Superman the movie for me is just still so iconic and such a good distillation of the character. I watched it again yesterday, and I think it is a little slow for today's moviegoer. Like it takes 45 minutes for them to get to Christopher Reeve, and I think it is a little. It does plot a little bit in those first 45 minutes, but I think when Christopher Reeve gets on the screen, it like the movie just zooms from that point. He's so charismatic, and like again, him and Lois have such great chemistry that I still think it is the gold standard. But I loved the new one. I'm going to watch it again, and I think it could go either way for me in a couple rewatchings.
Okay, well, we do differ quite a bit.
Okay, all right.
I have easily inserted where the Justice League theatrical version goes. Number 10, Batman versus Superman.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Again, this is the one I remember the least.
Martha, just based on that. Martha, I'm out. You said my mama's name is the same as your mama's. No.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You're right.
The dark broodingness of it, and then the doomsday kills. It's just okay. I did like Wonder Woman in those movies and that electrical guitar riff. I love that. Number 9, the Justice League theatrical version for everything that you just said. Number 4, number 8 would be Superman number 4. The absolutely horrendous. I just, how did this get made? Did podcasts on this. And it's just it is 100,000% B-level, terrible, just a terrible, objectively terrible movie.
Yeah,
it's like watching Flash Gordon. You want to watch Flash Gordon or Superman: The Quest for Peace?
Yeah,
where he tosses nuclear weapons into the sun in a giant fishing net. Followed thereafter at number 7 by the pretty terrible number Superman 3, where he, starring Richard Pryor, he splits into two people. When I was a child, that blew my mind. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was that the red kryptonite always does that to him? Was that not involved in that one? Red kryptonite's what makes him the bad guy. And the various kryptonites and their relation and how they make Clark feel is always kind of humorous. Number 6, because that would be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, number 6, Man of Steel.
Okay.
I've discussed here. I wanted so much more from that. I did like, as you said, though, the dads. Claps for the dads on that one. Number 4, the Justice League Uncut. It is extremely long. I even watched the black and white version. Is that the only version of it?
It might be. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, it's Zack Snyder really feeling himself. Really feeling it. This guy loves slow-mo, as do I. I love some slow-mo. I grew up on John Woo movies. What do you expect? Give me some slow-mo. The scene, okay. And was it in the theatrical version? I hope so. The scene with Flash and the slow-mo and good Lord,
At the beginning, yeah.
His girlfriend gets in the car wreck and he goes outside and saves her and the hot dogs.
Yes.
That was an absolutely phenomenal scene. Great music, great effects, great everything. Love that. That scene alone is worth watching the Justice League Uncut version for. I think it wasn't the theatrical version, but still. Number 4, Superman 2025. I'm willing to give it a chance. I like what they set up. I like the hopefulness of it. Everybody wants to feel good. Everybody wants to peace and love, peace and love. You know, everybody wants peace and love. Why can't this world experience peace and love? Number 3 for me is Superman Returns.
Yeah, okay.
It resurrected Superman. It was soon, of course, X-Men and Spider-Man had come out by this point. I think X-Men had. I'm pretty sure that was like the early 2000s. And I just rewatched this after coming home from 2025, and the effects are still good. The CGI is really good for a 2006 movie. It was really good. Yes, it's got a lot of boring parts. It's got a lot of boring parts in there. Kate Bosworth, really liked her. She fell off kind of the map after this movie. But I love Brandon Routh as Superman. I think to me, he's in the top 3 for sure, if not top 2.
He's very Christopher Reeves for sure.
Yeah. Number 2 is number 1. The Superman, the movie.
Okay.
Loved it. Kind of the same thing what you said. It's kind of like, and I'll say this is like Star Wars and Return of the Jedi. Love those movies. But for me, Star Wars is a little boring. Superman, the movie, a little boring. Number 1 for me is Superman 2 with the Kryptonians, the fellow Zod and the fellow Kryptonians, and his little cellophane S he pulls off his chest was cheesy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But I like that they introduced the Phantom Zone. It just, as a child, and even now, but specifically as a child, 2 really hit me. I was like, man, that is awesome. It had more action to me. Just like I like Return of the Jedi, even though renownedly Return of the Jedi is the lesser of the 3, but due to my age and where it hit me in life, it's my number 1.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that. I definitely would listen to an argument with 2 being better than 1. I don't think that's a crazy take at all. I definitely could see that.
And then, of course, the Gene Hackman of it all. It was,
Of course.
Yeah, so, again, I'm glad me and Mark have bonded over our Superman fandom. And we're not the cool kids. Maybe we'll be maybe we're the punk rockers now.
That's right.
Speaking of which, that song at the end of it, I'm a punk rocker or whatever, at the end of 2025 by the Teddy Bears.
Right.
I have went down a Teddy Bears wormhole and I am now a fan.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out.
You have to check out on Spotify. They sing a variety of music. They've been around since the 90s, and they go into a lot of different genres. But Iggy Pop was featured on that song. It's the song while the credits roll. I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. I really liked that. I really did.
All right.
With James Gunn, he's good at some needle drops.
He is. That's true. That's true.
Well, Mark, I am absolutely thrilled you agreed to come on here and discuss this with me because everybody loves Batman. He's the dark, brooding, he's the cool guy.
Yeah.
And nobody, nobody really likes Superman. That's why I was like, that's why I wanted all those movies to be successful, and they were somewhat, but Batman's the cool guy. Superman's the do-gooder, the Boy Scout, yeah. But you really should check out. Oh, and that was something. The Superman and Lois series, that was the most recent CW series.
Yeah, I've heard that's good.
It is really good. It's Superman as a family man. He's married to Lois. They have kids.
Moving back, right?
Yeah.
Moving back to Smallville?
Yes. It is really, and I can't remember the actor's name. He is also it is a really good show.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. So yeah, I'll definitely check that out. And
Smallville, it's so dated now. It's very 2000. It's like watching Friends.
That was my concern.
If you could watch Friends, Sade, she went back and watched it, but she really enjoyed it. It still holds up. I would watch a few episodes, but it's pretty corny. It's pretty cheesy, but they did a bunch of the characters very well. But I would recommend Superman and Lois if you're looking for some more Superman in your life.
Well, this has definitely reinvigorated my desire to seek out more stuff. So I will definitely be checking that out.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to post this as fast as I can because I promised an episode this week. And I appreciate you coming on very much so.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure and an honor to be on the show. So I jumped at the chance to do this. So thank you so much.
I'm glad you did. Hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Superman. I don't even know what they are because this is beforehand Gaby recording this. Post Gaby will simply insert it and then put in the music for the conclusion of the episode at some time around here. So I will say thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to a fat man's ramblings on food. I'm still working on it, though. I'm working on it. I may get that shot. Actually, I have some info to tell y'all, but I'm holding it for another episode in regards to the shot and my health. I'm in good shape. Don't worry. But I did go to the doctor, and I have things to tell you. But, I really don't know. Okay. Our age group for this podcast. Okay, so I haven't started the music yet because I'm still talking. Our age group for this podcast, if we have listeners, if Evan's still listening, go ahead and tune out. I'm fixing to talk about old people taking medicine and going to the doctors and their prescriptions. I notice now that I talk a lot about medicine and my blood work. Do you talk about your blood work? Then you're old. Welcome to the club, says I to myself. Oh, it's sad talking about your blood work. Oh, my vitamin D is low. Of course it's low. I work at home. I never go outside except to go somewhere to eat or the movies or grocery shop. I need to go outside more. But anyway, I'll tell you more about my blood work, what my doctor said, and what I'm going to do about it on another episode. Because no one cares. Absolutely no one will care about that. Maybe you do, though. I don't know. Maybe you're concerned about my health because I'm morbidly obese. I love you all. Thank you for listening. We will be back once our timelines meet up and Jerry's no longer ill. Love you and Godspeed.